how does it feel to have all of the, not all of them, but most of your resources taken away in fitness? And it's like, we
Yeah.
have these things, go. Like, how are you dealing with
Yeah, that's been really challenging but it was particularly challenging in the first 2 weeks.
it? Yeah.
And I think I got quite concerned about what the consequences of that would be. Um, would I lose everything that I'd gained in the last 3 months with you? Would I? Yeah, I mean, it's really well. You said, "Will I get fat?" I mean, all of those sort of like, I mean, and they're old concerns. They're not new concerns. That you kind of bury them.
Yeah.
Um, and I've been quite proactive about trying to resolve, if I didn't have stuff, then I've gone out and gotten stuff so I could have more things to work out with. But I mean, I still feel a little bit like, there's a couple of things. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it enough?
Yeah.
Because it feels so different than going to the gym each day and having all of that resource. So they're my two biggest questions. Like, am I doing it enough? And am I doing it right?
Yeah, I think we have to work within our circumstances, right? So, the path that we were on January 6th through March 20th, I believe it was when this thing happened, is just a different path now, right? Because the path that we were on at that time was, we were looking at all of the things that we had resource wise. We developed a plan where it's like, okay, Emma, I just want you to be stronger. I want you to move better based on adding external load to you. And I'm going to challenge you with continually adding external load week over week over week over week, change cycles, do it again, do it again, do it again. And then just kind of run that until we can't run that anymore. So if we were still in the gym, would we be doing anything similar to what we're doing now? The answer is no. Like, we had to completely adjust what we were doing. So I think what we're doing now is we're looking at what resources do we have? How can we use those resources to the best of our ability to kind of continue on that path? But in my head, I'm like, and I love when you said, I enjoyed that running piece, I want to do more. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because I wanted you to run more anyway, because we don't have access to anything else, right? So I'm like, okay, let me go back and build this plan on how we're going to accumulate volume over the coming weeks in like a good, safe way. And it's like, because of your training history, it's like you've been a runner, right? And by you taking that time off and really focusing on resistance training and fixing motor patterns and getting really good in the squats and in the bend and all of that stuff and in single leg work, it's like, in my head, I'm like, okay, that's just going to make her better than she's ever been at running. But now she just has to accumulate the volume to get back to where she was volume wise. So I looked at that as an opportunity to just, okay, let's make running the thing right now. And then the other 2 days of training are just going to facilitate the running, not take away from the running. So it's almost the same conversation that we had when we were doing that assault bike progression, where I was like, okay, Emma, we're going to do this assault bike progression. We're going to do it on Mondays. We're doing it on Mondays because I want you to come into this thing really fresh, right? And when we do it again on Thursday, when we do another version of this on Thursday, I want you coming off of a rest day because I don't want anything else getting in the way. We're taking a similar approach where it's like, your resistance training, mostly body weight resistance training, that's not taking away from your capabilities in running. And we don't have to really manipulate that like on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Friday, because you're not adding that much external load. So you're not really tearing enough muscle tissue to really affect the running. So the positive in that, it's like, we can run really high volume relative to where you are at today. That volume will be even higher in 3 weeks, but relative to where you are today, we can run high volume after a resistance training day, because I'm not loading you up in a safety bar back squat and allowing 3 days of recovery to happen after that. We're doing body weight split squats, we're doing jump lunges, we're doing things that you're capable of, but that aren't going to annihilate you at a muscular level. And I still feel good about you running, 30 minutes the next day. that was a really long explanation or way to say like, yes, the plan has absolutely been flipped the other way. I won't even say upside down, just the other way. But I think we have to find like the positives in it too. It's like, okay, let's get back into running. Let's really enjoy running. Let's continue to push the goal of getting those 20 push-ups. You can kind of see as I designed your training program this morning, I'm like, ooh, we're going to be at a 20x1 tempo next week. We're going to get a true AMRAP of where she's at on the push-up, right? So we can still see some really good relative strength gains from you that we wanted to do anyway months ago, right? So are you going to put on massive amounts of muscle? No. Will you lose a little bit of muscle? Maybe, because you're running more now, right? But because of I think the fact that you enjoy running so much and now you're doing it, not saying that you didn't do it safely before, but now we know that you're doing it really safely and you're like accumulating volume over time. It's like that may be better than putting on 5 pounds of muscle, right? Like relative to where we are right now. So talking about the lens situation, right now we have our lens of being in this COVID virus crap where we can't leave our homes, and exercise and fitness and nutrition is still really important to you. So it's like you're still progressing, but just in a different way. Like you're still getting better. So I think the biggest fear for a lot of people right now, Emma, is like, am I just not going to get better anymore because I don't have access to a gym. I don't have that. And I think people need to look at, okay, I need to use this as an opportunity to get better at something else, right? That I probably wouldn't have prioritized if I was in the gym 5 times a week. And that's the way I'm looking at a lot of clients' training programs, and specifically yours, where it's like, yeah, let's get really good at running, and let's continue the gains that we've had, in motor control, and let's increase relative strength. Because I
Mm.
bet your push-ups will be better than they've ever been. I bet your body weight lunging will be better than they've, you know what I mean? It's like now
The
we
amount I'm doing, yeah.
now we
Um,
have now we have the Bowflex uh,
oh, yeah.
cable machine. I bet your Bowflex cable exercises will be better than they've ever been. So I think we're just making the best of it, right? And
Totally, totally.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think the other thing that's been surprising is, and maybe this is sort of calamitous thinking, but you think when you stop something that you're never going to be able to do it again,
Hmm.
like physically be able to do it again. So
Yeah.
I had this like, oh, running, oh, well, that was my time running. And I was glad when I gave it up. I never wanted to do it again, but I never thought I could.
Yeah.
And then when I restarted, I was surprised at how it came back instantly.
Hmm.
Like I felt just like I'd felt, if not better. So you're right. And I didn't have any like mental anxiety around it. It was, yeah, it came back like this distant memory. So I guess that's nice to think about when you think about, how things have changed. It's very likely when I do eventually get back into the gym
Hmm.
that I'll pick everything else back up as if
Yeah.
I just put it down. So
And when we get back into the gym, Emma, like your goals may just be a little bit different because of this experience as well, right? So you may tell me, and I'm not like saying this to put things in your head or anything like that, but just looking at the circumstances that we're in, you may be like, hey, I want to continue to feel good. My joints feel really good right now. My back feels really good right now. I'm really enjoying running, and I have this really specific running goal that I want to get to. And because of that really specific running goal, that's going to affect everything else that we're doing around and inside of the training program. So yeah, I think a lot of people are having like, uh, and I think this is a positive thing, but I think a lot of people are looking at fitness and asking themselves like, why do I actually do fitness? What does fitness actually mean to me, right? Because like I see some people that are just letting it go by the wayside because they're just like, it was just convenient to work out before. Now it's not convenient to work out, so I'm not going to do it. Like I think we're going to see just as many of those stories as we see people like really embracing this thing and finding themselves and all that shit. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, my question to you would be, over the next however many months or weeks this thing lasts, what is a successful fitness outcome to you?
mm. Um, I mean, are you thinking about a specific goal, or are you?
I intentionally didn't use the term goal, uh,
Yeah,
because I just
because
wanted to, because I want it to be like, okay, what is, when this thing is done and you look back at what you did inside of your exercise program, what would you deem a success?
okay, I can get behind that. I think too, and this is so, I mean, I'm aware that this isn't specific, but it's more a feeling than a thing. But to re-fall in love with running, like, and to feel good while I'm doing it, and to get some volume back up. I mean, it's funny because what is that app that I've been using? It's the one I've been using, Map My Run. I didn't do the Strava. I actually did Map My Run. I did Map My Run for a very specific reason, because it's the one I've been using for 10 years.
So you have data.
So I actually have data, yeah. So what was interesting was to observe what I was doing before I dropped it really dramatically. And I was doing 3.5 to 4 hour runs on Saturday mornings. That was 2 years ago, in the height of an Arizona summer. Um, it was brutal.
Why were you doing that?
Because when I started, I was thinking, because I had gone so far with the running and I'd done a bunch of marathons and I'd been doing it for 20 years. And so I was flirting with the notion of doing ultras.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to do sort of marathon length runs,
Yeah.
more or less every week. And I just hit a wall with it. I just couldn't.
Physically or emotionally or
uh,
both?
Emotionally, it started to feel like a um uh like a trap. It started to feel, yeah, just weighty.
Yeah.
um and I think also I was doing it, I was used to running in colder climates.
Yeah.
So I was, out in 100-degree weather, and it was just physically very, I mean, it's always uncomfortable. There's always an element of discomfort with running, but when you're doing that much in that much heat, it was awful.
Yeah.
I didn't feel great. And then it would wipe me out for the whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so to be able to renew my relationship with something that's been such a big part of my life, would be wonderful. And I can see this being very obtainable, so it's not a really tangible goal, but to be able to, run 10 miles or whatever, like I used to daily again, would be wonderful. I mean, I sort of feel like I could do that now if I went out there and did it, but yeah, to do it in a manner in which I'm not hating it by the end would.
Yeah, let me propose something and you tell me if I'm on the wrong track or right track. So you want to be able to run high, let's call it, like, you want to do high volume runs in single sessions and be able to recover from those runs and not
Yes.
like be wiped out and all of
Yeah.
that, right? Okay.
Yeah, because it started to take away from other areas of my life, which had become important, and I don't want that again.
Yeah, and I think that's no matter what someone's physical goals are, if it absolute, unless they're like doing it to win like a competition or a sport, if it takes away from everything else, I think everyone will get exhausted and tired and drop it, right? Like if exercise, like if resistance training was like 5 hours every single Saturday, and you're just like contractions, 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 and you're on your couch Saturday afternoon, evening, and all day Sunday, and you just recovered on Monday to like go to work, I think anyone would fall out of love with that thing, right? So, yeah, I think that's extremely obtainable because you're not saying I want to run an ultra in 6 months, right? Or I want to put the volume in today to be able to run an ultra. I think you're just saying I want to really enjoy running, right? It's like, well, let me ask you this, Emma. What did you enjoy about running, or what do you enjoy about running?
Um, Again, these are all abstract things, but the freedom it afforded me, there was a mental clarity that came with it, which I realized because I haven't been doing it so much, that I've refound. And there's a kind of meditative quality about running that I've really enjoyed getting back into. Yeah, and what I also love is it has a visual, like, the goal has a visual quality in that you immediately know you've done it or you haven't. You know, you can see the distance you've run.
Yep.
So it has a very satisfying kind of beginning, middle, and end to it at a time when it's very hard to know that we're doing anything.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense at all. And that's what that I realize I'm getting so much from. You know, I can see that I've run from my house to the park up the road, round it and back.
So
And I've got the data for it.
is it the gratification that comes after you complete a task and you're like, wow, I just completed that task? Or
Yeah, definitely. It's that, and it feels good while I do it.
like, so just endorphins. So like creating the endorphins while you do it.
Yeah.
Or the runner's high, right? Or the
Yeah. Like,
high.
yeah, it's very real. And like, weirdly, I don't know whether this is connected, but like a lot of the other systems have regulated. So
Mm-hmm.
like I'm going to the toilet more regularly than I ever did before. Like, that's been a really big difference, like I've noticed. Sleep has still been like a bit hit and miss, but yeah, like some of the other things that were very present and regular have come back to be so.
Yeah, I think, well, let me, before we get into that, let me ask you this question. Are you feeling the endorphins and the runner's high, let's call it? Are you already feeling that, or are we striving to get back to that?
I think we're striving to get back. I experienced it the first time I ran again, and I think I sent you a text, or we had an exchange about that. I was like, it was when you were asking me whether I wanted to do more of it, and I was like, yeah, because it put me back in touch with this thing that I'd loved for so many years. I'm not feeling it, but I don't tend to, like, which is partly why I got into distance running, because it would take me like 2 hours because I'd done it for so long to start feeling that high. It was always towards the end. So I'm certainly seeking that. I haven't felt it yet. But what I'm more amazed at is, oh yeah, I can still do this and I'm still feeling okay while I'm doing it. But I'm not experiencing the endorphins yet.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Usually those things start to occur in the body as everything else shuts down, right? So it's like, let's call it the first 20 minutes of running for most people is our bodies are still trying to like figure it out and find a really good rhythm. And we're trying to like figure out, okay, how are we breathing on this run based on how I'm feeling today, based on the environment, the weather, where I'm running. You know, are my strides too heavy? Should I lighten them up? Am I too much on my toes? Am I heel striking? Like, there's a lot of things that need to be self-organized over those first, let's call it 20 minutes. And then usually, and I don't want to put a time stamp on a runner's high and when people are producing endorphins, because it depends, right? But usually, you know, after, that's why people graduate from 5Ks to 10Ks, right? It's like 10Ks just feel really good, right? I can keep a nice pace. I know that I'm going a long distance or I'm going a long time. So I'm okay with having a little bit or regulating with a little bit of a lighter pace throughout the run. And yeah, shit just starts to feel good toward the back end of that thing. And I think I asked that question because when you hit your 30-minute on Tuesday, yesterday was that? Just your comment, I'm like, I felt like I could have gone longer. That's why I asked that. I'm like, so is she like fiending to go a little bit longer right now, or like, or you know?
Oh, I'm stopping myself.
Yeah.
because I'm curious. I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could do a 10K now. Like I feel like I probably could,
Mhm.
but I'm so nervous about um hurting myself, like
Yeah.
getting back into that position of doing it too much and hating it.
Yeah, I don't think you're there, right? Like I don't think if you went out for a Sunday 10K, you're gonna hurt yourself. But I do think that there's something to be said about a really good, um, or let's call it specific volume build in running, where it's like if you start to see trouble, you'll see it, you'll notice it, right? Because you're building volume per week instead of like going out week one running 10K, something in your heel is a little bit iffy or off, and then you're just like, oh, I'm cool, like, and then you run another 10K and then another 10K and another 10K, and it's like you're not really building volume, you're just going out for a run at that point, right? And like you're exacerbating whatever problem that happened in week one, but you kind of, your body is just like self-organizing and just kind of not realizing that that's an issue. So that's why I really like in running, especially the volume builds, is because you can see things as that happens, right? Like, and that's why I think your comment yesterday was really good on, or important on, I could have done more, right? So to me, I'm like, yeah, she probably wants to do more, right? And that's why I commented like, don't worry, you'll do more next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. And I'm definitely uh, wanting to do this slowly, because my tendency is always to go hard at something or go back into it, or so yeah, just I trust you in the laying out of that. But
Yeah, so I think the tension here, or the intention here, is balance, right? And like what you're doing at home in resistance training and running. Running will probably eventually do this being running, kind of go up a little bit, but we're trying to juggle some balance right now. I mean, you'll notice that the way that your days are laid out, the time that you spend in resistance training is very similar to the time that you're spending out on the road and running. The volume weekly in resistance training is going up each week instead of the intensity going up, because we don't have a bunch of external load that we can throw onto you. So volume's going up in resistance training, it's going up in running. So it's like we're just trying to like mirror these things. So because we had to adjust, so right now I have your cycle built out for 6 weeks, and we may be back in the gym before that, not sure, but I just wanted to kind of build it out so I can wrap my brain around what we're doing week to week. And yeah, I mean, we have the two run focused days. One's just a volume build, steady state, and one's an interval volume build, where it's like, I want you to start, eventually I want you to run 2 miles, rest, and then we're kind of like incrementally going down, where it'll be like 2 miles, and then we'll go a 2K, and then we'll go 1,600 meters, and then we'll go 1,200 meters, and then we'll go all the way down to 2. We'll rest, and then we'll do that again. And I want you to mirror the paces on each. And I don't know if you saw that comment this morning, but it was really good that I didn't even tell you. I just told you, hey, I want you to go 2 sets at sustainable pacing. And then we had the 1,200 meter run, and then we went down to 200. And you just got faster naturally as you went down. So that's really good. So I just want to keep that up and continually just kind of add to the top, add to the top, add to the top. And then top volume is going to be this week, and then we're going to reset. And then I want to get faster for the back end, the last 3 weeks. So that's one day. And then the other day is just that long, slow distance volume build, where we'll be at 45 to 60 minutes by the end of it. Sorry, there's a little
got a
kid
little
on my
rest.
door. Um, so that's kind of what your Tuesday and Friday, Tuesdays and Fridays look like. And then your Mondays and Thursdays are just pattern specific resistance training with core inside of all of those days as well. So volume's going up in each of those things, and we're just kind of trying to mirror it. And then when we get to the end of the 6 weeks, we'll have a conversation to see where we're going to go moving forward from there.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm on with Steve 6 minutes ago. I wanted to hit on nutrition today.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Um, ah. It's always the thing that goes first.
So I went into your nutrition sheet, And
And there was a whole week in which I didn't write
that's okay.
anything.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I wanted to be honest about that. I was like, I can't even make it up. I can't even remember. That was the first week that we went
Yeah.
into more or less into hibernation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not been too terrible. The only thing that's, I mean, I've been more or less keeping to it. Exactly what you gave me the last time. It was just, as I am going to question it, as I questioned the fitness, I was like, uh, should I just continue on the same nutrition plan? Should I tweak it?
Yeah. So if you can do this for me, Emma, for the next 3 weeks, and then we're going to revisit. If you can ensure that you hit the 4 servings of protein, the 4 to 6 of veggies, the 4 of carbs, and 4 of fat, because I want to know how you feel in running volume while you're hitting these portions. Because to make adjustments after this 6 weeks, we just have to know how the last 6 weeks went, specifically these last 3 weeks. So I know today's Thursday, but if you can jump on today and just fill all those cells, right? Like let's call it like we want to get 80 to 90% compliance. So it's like if you go 1 or 2 days throughout the week where you have a couple empty, not a big deal. But if you can just go in there and try to hit all of those portions as we build in volume in each running and resistance, it just gives us a much better starting point at the end of this 6 weeks to make some adjustments based on how you're feeling.
Okay. Okay. So
Because
continue on.
you will likely, you're moving a lot more. Let's not even talk about an exercise. Like you're moving a lot more, like you're going out on
Yeah.
walks, you're doing, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's all really good stuff, right? But we don't want, and I'm going to use this term, we don't want to burn the candle at both ends, right? Where you're under eating and you're moving way more, because that's not a good place to be in, because that always ends up in chronic fatigue, right? And we just don't want to get there. So if you could do that over the next 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, that would be perfect.
Okay.
Cool.
I'll do that. Yeah. Cool.
All right. I have to jump off. Steve just.
Okay, love. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you
Emma.
so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye bye, love.